hope for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio. For the masses. Yeah, man, today's Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020. $154 days into the new year. Only 212 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? All right. Tonight, very special guest, Eric Rains joins us once again. He is here. And we are going to cover tonight how to deal with our emotions right now during the coronavirus crisis. And, of course, these George Floyd protests that are gripping the nation. Marches. Kind of on the TV right here, live here in Los Angeles. We had marches and protests all over the Southland today. Huge one in downtown LA at the City Hall at Grant Park. Just incredible. Huge one in Hollywood. Still going on. Another one at the mayor's house here in Los Angeles. And looks like we got some funny business going on live on TV right now. Crazy, yeah. Looks like little looting going on. I can't tell where it is, but they did break down. I can't tell where this is at. Looks like it's Hollywood. Might be downtown Los Angeles, but okay. See, that's what I get. Yeah, it's in downtown LA. That's what I get for having. Yeah, that's uncool. That's uncool. That's uncool. All right. See, that's what I get for having the TV on. Should not have it on during this. And wherever, I'm looking, and it's like a normal protest. Everybody just going up the street, and somehow they got a boarded up door open, and the entire crowd that was walking up the street, everybody's looking out now. There's an apartments above this. And everybody's looking out the windows like, what the hell? And I'm going to say the entire crowd is now inside of that building. I'm going to say, and it's continuing to be entered, I'm going to say 75 to 100 people. Yep, it's on Fox News right now. Wow. That is great. You know what? The police... Right now, there's nobody out in front. The police are going to pull up out front, and nobody's going to have a way to get out. Wow, that's just incredible. That is just incredible. Kids. Okay, where am I at? That's what we're going to be talking about tonight, is how I just got affected by that. This is crazy. This is live on television, nobody doing a thing. The door is now shut, by the way. The door is now shut. Police helicopters over the top. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. Tomorrow night, right here on this very program, Grant Cameron. Grant Cameron's going to be here. Lots to talk about. He is covering some pretty interesting subjects right now. We'll be dealing with a lot of his research that he is posting about lately, and of course all of the other UFO and headline news. You guys are watching me live on the camera as I'm watching this. Wah, 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 wah. Here come the police. All right, one down. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I mean, you know, watching that happen the way that it did, it was everybody's inside. There's only one way to go. It's back out the front door. Yeah, it's crazy. They're coming up the back too. Okay. All right, follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. At JChurchRadio. Oh man, I can't believe I'm watching it. You know, it's I'll keep you posted. I know you guys want to know. If you're in Los Angeles, just put it on Fox, and you can see what I'm talking about. All right. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. All right. Get your immune system boosted. Get it to where it needs to be. I want you to visit getthetea.com. Also, forbiddenknowledge.tv, Billy Carson's new internet TV network, built just for you, by the way. I want you to go and click on the banners at jimmychurchradio.com. Go and get registered. 3-day free trial. You can go and check it out. And River Moon Coffee, best coffee in the world, absolutely. Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend. We have 2 blends. Visit River Moon Coffee. You can go to the website and click on the banners at jimmychurchradio.com. Also, the promo codes are right there. And, of course, their Amazon store. You can go and check that out, too, as well. Both of our blends are available for you. Okay? All right. That's how we do things here. It is our great sponsors at jimmychurchradio.com. Breaking news today. Carol Baskin, whose long-standing feud with Joe Exotic, Tiger King. That's right. She has been awarded the zoo once owned by Joe Exotic. A judge ruled in favor of Baskin's Big Cat Rescue Corporation today in a lawsuit against the Greater Wynwood Development Group, LLC. The latter company was owned by Exotic, whose real name is Joseph Allen Maldonado Passage. The order gives Baskin control of about 16 acres of land in Garvin County, Oklahoma. GWDC must vacate the zoo, the premises within 120 days of service of this order, and vacation of premises shall also require removal of all zoo animals from the zoo land. So basically, she gets 16 acres of useless property. Why? Well, the zoo itself has been largely shut down because Jeff Lowe, who is the current owner of the park, is opening the new Tiger King Park in Thackerville, Oklahoma, and that's going to be opening up in about 120 days. There you go. An apparent unidentified flying object was spotted in the sky over Terra Hills. It's a subdivision in Mokina, Illinois, 2 weeks ago. A Mokina man who lives in the subdivision captured a number of photos and a short video, which I watched today, and posted them to YouTube. All of this of the phenomena while he was in his backyard with his wife, few family, friends. All of this happened just before 9:30 p.m. on May 15th. The man who wishes to remain unnamed, I guess that means anonymous, he said, quote, "The light was seen traveling over our neighborhood in a west to east direction. The light was quite bright and large with no indicators of it being an aircraft or a drone. It did not have a red, green, or white strobe. It was too low, too large, and bright to be a satellite or the International Space Station and would be much, much smaller if it was." End quote. Very interesting. The video's pretty good, too, as well. Also, breaking news out of India. India is facing the worst locust swarm in the country has seen in over 30 years. Waves of desert locusts, millions strong and stretching up to 4 miles long, crossed into India's western state of Rajasthan from neighboring Pakistan, and swarms have since pushed into 5 different states in search of food. The desert locust is the most destructive of all locust species because of its speed, and adult locusts can fly up to 93 miles per day while eating their own body weight worth of fresh vegetation. Yep, murder hornets are next, India. Get ready. Whatever happened to murder hornets? That thing kind of came and went, didn't it? Kind of freaked us out for a second. The StarWorks UFOs and Artificial Intelligence Conference is going down in Laughlin, Nevada, at the Aquarius Hotel and Casino. It is November 5th through the 8th. I want you to go to StarWorks USA for tickets and info. The banners are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Also, the big news that we announced 2 weeks ago, the Disclosure Fest event at the historic Los Angeles Park in downtown Los Angeles is now scheduled for October 10th. That is Saturday, October 10th, 2020. So why don't you come and celebrate my birthday with us? Come and hang out. I want you to visit disclosurefest.org for all of the information. It is a huge event, 20,000 people scheduled to be there, so come and check it out. All right, let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Justin Long. Yeah, 42. Justin. He'll always make the list because of Galaxy Quest. A lot of cool stuff, okay? Yeah, I like Justin. He's funny, too. But Galaxy Quest, that's where it's at. Rolling Stones OG stickman Charlie Watts. Today, 79. Be real. That's right. Be real. Cypress Hill is 50 years old. He owns the pot store in Burbank. He's got a chain of pot stores. Spandau Ballet frontman Tony Hadley today is 60. Yeah, man, I'm going to say it, man. I like Spandau. The first album, True. Truth, True. The song was True. Was the album called True, too, the first one? Man, I can't remember. But you know what's interesting? He didn't make a nickel. One guy from the band, they all went to school together. All went to elementary school together and junior high. They were all friends. They formed the band. Number one, this just gazillions of records sold. But Tony didn't write the song. The whole band ended up suing the band member. They got all the songwriting credits because he wrote the song. But got thrown out of court. Didn't get anywhere with that. Tony Hadley, very powerful voice, by the way, today is 60 years old. On this day in history, 1966, the United States and NASA land the Surveyor 1 on the moon. Are you guys watching Space Force? I don't want to give anything away. Are you watching Space Force? Finished it finally last night. Had to talk Rita into it. She's like, okay, I guess we'll finish it. You know, once your interest, if you're in the middle of a binge with a TV series and you wander off the binge, it's kind of hard to get back into the binge. You got to make a left-hand turn, then a right-hand turn, and get back into it and remember where. And, had to talk her into it. I don't think she made it through. I didn't think she, no, but I did. And I don't want to give anything away after reading that on this day in history. Fate or fact? Here's a good one for you. The Fiji crested iguana was first discovered in the 1980 movie The Blue Lagoon, which is set on a remote island in Fiji. After spotting it in the film, Dr. John Gibbons jumped on a plane, traveled to the island, and was able to identify the animal as a distinct species new to science. Yeah, and that is your Fate or Fact. Tonight, Eric Rains is here, and we are going to talk about how to deal with our emotions, like right now, watching the looting live on TV. Watching the arrests, which makes me feel a little better. But that's going on right now. How do we deal with that? We've got the coronavirus. Man, just craziness. Craziness right now. Eric Rains is here to talk to us on how to deal with all of it. Tomorrow night, Grant Cameron's going to be here. Very excited about that, and so are all of you. Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Now, you know what time it is. Let me hit this River Moon coffee. Yeah, man. Over the weekend, the United States, SpaceX, and NASA launched astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley into space from U.S. soil for the first time in over 9 years on the Crew Dragon. It was a great moment. I watched all of it. I watched every bit of it. I felt like I was just a kid, taking me back to watching the black and white television set and those Apollo launches and Gemini, all that stuff. It was great. I enjoyed every minute of it. This historic event, which concluded with the Crew Dragon successfully docking with the ISS, was overshadowed by all of the protests that are continuing right now across our nation. I've got it right now on my television set. Those protests took over the Twitter war with the White House. Right? Remember that? Remember how big of a deal that was? And that Twitter war took over the coronavirus. All of this happened in the last 7 days. And as a member of the media, I have to drive to work. And there have been so many moments over the years that I have taken that drive, thinking about what's going on in our nation, our city, the world. And with that, the responsibility of reporting on the issues that confront us. It's my job. And this past Saturday's drive to the Coast Studios was the strangest yet. And the streets are different. They feel different. This country is different. And as crazy as things may have been in the past, today we are, as a nation and world, living in and through a sea of change. And we know this. As the news became nearly impossible for us to keep up with, it's impossible. Just 1 week ago to the day, the world was on lockdown. I don't know if you remember this, but coronavirus stopped the planet a week ago. Today, it's all but forgotten. The story of the century has been disappeared. Gone. Poof. It's like magic. Saturday's show on Coast to Coast AM with Johnny Enoch was in the planning stages since the news started to break about Magé, Brazil 2 weeks ago. And when those videos started to surface on the net, which showed objects in the sky over the city just north of Rio that were witnessed by thousands. One video was sent to me on May 16th, showing something crashing into the hills behind the city. Another one showing smoke and gunshots, right, at some facility behind gates. right? Dozens of lights in the sky, helicopters chasing lights. Most of the videos were removed and deleted from the net. And all of this was suggesting some type of cover-up like Roswell. Now, a news story as big as this would, in a normal world, it would get the coverage in the media that it deserves. Had a lot of UFO coverage over the last couple of years, haven't we? In this case, there was a little ripple in the water, but it was quickly buried and forgotten with all of the other headlines that are changing by the minute every single day. Is the Maage, Brazil UFO incidents being erased from the public record? Is something like this even possible today? You know, with the internet and cell phone videos, is it possible? Well, the quick answer is yes. Maage isn't in the United States, and its isolation from national media makes it, international media as well, makes it very easy for the story to just go away. Roswell, let's remember, Roswell was silenced in a single day, and it was forgotten until 1980. Sometimes it is impossible for people to comprehend and understand that the media may be intentionally covering up or burying news stories. Now, I think that we have asked too much of the world these days. We've asked too much of everybody to digest all of the news that has piled up over the last few months and expect nothing but the status quo with no backfires. I keep waiting every day. I keep waiting for the moment when the media wakes up, when the media takes a turn and starts to bear the responsibility of how it truly affects the lives and emotions of so many. You see, here in Los Angeles, like so many cities around the world, we are watching the protests. We are watching the marches. We are watching the looting. My family and I, like all of you, have to watch the local news all day long to see where the problems are around our home, our family. And this has been going on day after day after day. Yesterday, things got a little crazy just a couple of blocks away from our home. Right here, boarding up stores on Ventura Boulevard. And just like all of you, we've had to endure all of the coronavirus bad news for months. Now, we have our show. We have Fade to Black. We've got Coast to Coast. We have our audience. We have our sponsors. And with all of that, a responsibility to go live each night. But Rita and I also have a family. And we have emotions, and we share the very same concerns as all of you. The media has the power to project change. Just 1 week ago, today, 1 week ago, coronavirus was the most important event in recent history, and the media made sure we knew this. They made sure they covered it 24/7 for the last 3 months. There was no way that this story, as big as the media made it, along with our government and nations around the world, should suddenly disappear. Today, and for good reason, the media is covering the protests going on around the United States. What is going on at this very moment is probably one of the great periods in our history, and it's directly on the heels of the former greatest moment in world history, the coronavirus. It's all become too much for us to handle. Back in January, 6 months ago, when 2020 rolled in, we were all excited. We were, what those numbers meant, 2020. This was supposed to be the year to remember. And at that time, nobody, not a single person, knew what was about to happen. Yesterday, the nation watched as tear gas, rubber bullets, and flash bombs were used in front of the White House. Yeah, it's crazy days indeed. 100 years from now, how will history look back at this period? What will they say? What will be taught in our schools? I don't know. But I'm pretty sure there will be a movie made with the title that just says 2020. It's going to be a blockbuster. It's going to be a blockbuster film. Right? But out of all of the events that are going to be in that film, one thing is for sure. Majé Brazil won't be in it. Because that's the story that was buried by the media. Just like Roswell. And that's why we have Eric Rains here tonight. This is truly, truly history. We're living it. You want to go back and talk about 2008? Stock market crash? Pandemonium? Right? Different earthquakes? 1994? 1992? Rodney King? Right? These huge events. Hurricanes in Miami and New Orleans, right? Right? The night that the lights went out in New York. Remember all of these big events? They were nothing. Nothing compared to what we are going through now. True history. The wrong kind, but it's history. 2020, absolutely incredible. And we've got to figure out a way to deal with it. All of us. There is no way that we have the answers. We don't. And I'm not shielded. You're not shielded. Everybody is affected by it. Everybody has families. Everybody has issues that they're dealing with. And I truly mean everybody on this planet. So when I come back after this short break, Eric Rains joins us, and we're going to talk about what we can do. There you go. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. At JChurchRadio. Yeah, you can start right there. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Hashtag F2BQ is Fade to Black questions. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink for a gentle, taste great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to getthetea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show. On the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Eric Rains is here. Tomorrow night, Grant Cameron. Thursday night, Fader night. Open lines all night long. Tonight, we're going to talk with Eric about how to deal with our emotions during this coronavirus crisis that is gripping the planet, and, of course, the George Floyd protests spreading across our nation. Eric was awakened after an intense energetic activation in 2012 when he became aware of an implant and parasitic construct by direct observation. The experience led him on a journey to self-discovery. This, coupled with ample real-world practice, allowed him to gain a deep understanding of this invasive system and how to promote self-protection through daily practices and how to remove these false constructs from himself and others. He currently implements energetic tools for ranging from parasitic implant removal, meridian clearing balancing, crystalline organ rejuvenation, theta healing, soul fragment retrieval, remote lymphatic work, and GoldenLight energy work. Eric considers it his duty, his life's purpose, to share this information with the world. I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Eric Rains. Eric, good evening, man. How you doing?
I am doing really good. Thank you for having me back, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's good to hear your voice, my man. And crazy times we find ourselves in, Eric. It's pretty nutty out there in the world.
Yeah, I don't think we as a society have ever lived through anything like this before. Like, there's been, global pandemics and things like that before, but we're also more connected and yet disconnected electronically throughout the world than we ever have been. And so instead of really just kind of being isolated while things go on the outside, we have a direct finger on the pulse of the heartbeat of the entire planet right now while we're all in this craziness that's going on right now. And we are literally stepping into a place that the world has never seen. We are a brand new type of human right now.
What kind of feedback are you getting from your clients and your contacts out there about their mood and how they are viewing things? And is it starting to change?
Oh, definitely. When this first started to come out, back in January and February, when they started talking about COVID-19 and the whole quarantine and whatnot that was going on, there was a very interesting energetic phenomenon that happened across the planet. There was almost like a uncontrollable wave of fear that hit multiple people, and then they almost incubated this frequency and then sent it out even stronger. And it hit the planet really, really hard. And when this started to become, a terrifying type of a thing, it wasn't just something happening. People were actively scared and, hoarding toilet paper. What ended up happening was this stayed at a heightened pitch as long as it could until it started to die down. And as it started to die down, energetically, there was a lull. There was a release, a void, a space where it was really easy to, toss some matches on the tinder pile over there. And that's what we're looking at right now. You can't lock this many people into something that they're not familiar with outside of their routines for this amount of time, and then keep them connected in on this level and just show them injustice after injustice before, the powder keg explodes. And we're really looking at a revolution on the consciousness levels that are exposing many aspects of ancestral trauma and program trauma through wars and genocides and things that have been happening throughout our entire history. And what we're seeing right now is a culmination of many of these programs that are getting to the point of where they can't sustain themselves anymore. And we're looking at everything coming up to the surface in order for it to get cleared out right now, and it definitely looks pretty crazy. But it's probably going to get a bit nuttier before it gets better. We got to bring it all up to the surface.
How do we, when we measure things, because when the coronavirus news started to take hold, and we're going back to January, February. And it seemed like it was, a Chinese thing, and maybe, an Asia, over outside of the United States thing, right? And we've always been protected by our borders here from so many things and isolated. And it just ramped up. And a lot of it was a preparation from the media, right? But that part doesn't matter. What matters more is the darkness of this and the fear of this started to arrive. And it was the numbers and the reports and it popping up in cities, and it just swelled. It got enormous. And I'm talking about the emotional side of it. It got huge very, very quickly, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's because it wasn't something that an individual could have made. This was a collective energy that once it started to spiral out, it just got worse and worse and worse. And instead of it just being one individual person, you had all of these people who, if you look into quantum mechanics, you can understand that we're pretty much all quantumly entangled. If there's one connection to another atom, well, there's billions upon trillions of atoms to the trillionth power that are, just in the general space around you. And these are all vibrating at the same type of a frequency underneath the atomic structure that makes everything up that we can see. And if you've got more than one person starting to resonate this frequency inside of these invisible connections, these atomic connections, it's almost like people are starting to bounce it back and forth. And as it bounces back and forth, it starts to get bigger. More is added to it until you end up with this. It literally felt like a giant rock that dropped in the pond of humanity. It was like it rippled everything. It shook everything. And there was nobody who was unable to completely and totally escape away from this program, even if they didn't allow the fear to take hold. They still were affected by it because it had gained so much power. It had gained so much traction. And with it starting to die down, immediately we see the next round of the thing to be, paying attention to. Because right now, there's a lot going on. It's not just, we're looking at, Hillary, she's testifying tomorrow about her emails and all that stuff that happened with Benghazi. But, it's not just stuff like that. Like what we're looking at is a culmination of many, many cycles of dominance of dark side feeling, of dark side energy, of service to self, of service to self instead of service to others. And what we're experiencing with that December 21st, 2012 reset right there, that was that balance point where the dark no longer held dominance. It was a complete and total balance. And so what we're watching right now is the natural shifting into a much more positive space. And we're looking at everything that doesn't want that positive space to hold dominance, pretty much trying to hold on as tight as it can. And inside of a system that's collapsing, they have to put way, way more energy into what the outcome will be. So, for like an investment, if we're looking at energy that these guys are using to then guide collective global understanding, it's almost like, a money type of a thing. If they put in $1,000 here and they get $100,000 out, that's a good investment for them. And so they have to put a little bit of effort in to get a maximum return on this energy field that they're using and harnessing. And so what's happening now is they have to start putting a lot more into it. And so there's a lot more effort, a lot more push to create the same type of a reaction. So instead of that 1,000 to 100,000 ratio, they're now at like a 50,000 to 100,000 ratio. It's still, they're getting like almost double back, but it's nowhere near as, quote, profitable as it used to be. And so these systems are starting to burn themselves out. There's way too much going into it and not enough coming back out, and they're starting to implode on themselves. And that's why we're seeing everything get really, really unstable right now.
How do we measure, and listening to your numbers there, it's very interesting. And then we look at the harsh extremes, where we're talking about 7 billion people that are affected, right? 6.5 million confirmed cases. And it's, almost 400,000 deaths. These numbers, real or not, that part doesn't matter. People see the numbers. They hear the news. And we truly know, and I think everybody believes, that every country's been affected. Everybody knows about it. These numbers are real. The jobs, economy, feeding our kids, education, rent, mortgages, right? Businesses, everything affects everybody. That is something that is tangible, whether you believe in bad karma or not, or bad vibes or not, or extra dimensions, or any of these things that our community looks at. This is real, and the numbers are real, which means that there is a shift in energy that is globally felt, right?
Yeah. And the thing about it is that, especially with a lot of the light worker crowd who, they try to love and light everything away and just start to ignore the shadow and the darkness that's happening,
right,
is that you just don't understand. You get polarized. You get stuck inside of one space to where something that's so far outside of your field of understanding shows up. There's no way for you to deal with it. There's no understanding on that level. And so in order for us to truly become a God spark on this planet, to activate a true transformation on an atomic scale, to bring about the revolution of mankind, that golden age, that space that we all know is coming, but nobody knows how to get there. Well, it's something that we're creating here. And in order for us to create this, we have to understand the darkness, because if we don't truly understand it, then how are we going to transmute it? How are we going to fix it? And these are dark things that are happening. These are very uncomfortable times that people are living in. Many people are seeing their businesses fail. They're seeing people that they love die. And we're in a chaos that we've never really truly experienced on this level before. And yeah, it's harsh. It really truly is. But what we have to recognize and step away from trying to be the controllers of this narrative and just look at nature. We are in a natural system, and nature is 100% merciless. Like, there is no give to nature. And, there's definitely much, much beauty. There's much understanding and wisdom to be learned there. But at the same time, only the strong survive. And this is a natural system that we live in right now, that we have to work inside of these rules. We have to understand the way that reality exists, and then instead of trying to do the unnatural way, we need to start manipulating natural cycles and natural flows to then point them in the direction that we wish to go, which is kind of what the Illuminati guys are doing on the negative spectrum for themselves. But this would be for the planet right here. And in order for us to recognize darkness, we unfortunately have to be inside of it. And this is what a lot of people call the dark night of the soul, where all of your ancestral trauma, all of your personal trauma starts to come up to the forefront, and you just have to deal with all of your crap, all of your triggers, everything that you don't like about yourself, the way that you feel that you can't stand, all of these things come up to the surface, and you sit inside of it until you get to the point to where you recognize, you know what? This isn't that bad, but I'm over it. I'm done. I'm not going to be here anymore. I'm going to actively start moving into a different space and creating something new. And this is what we're looking at with humanity right now. And the as above, so below, it's so apt here, because we have seen so many people go through this process to create a healing for themselves that then they can spread to the world around them. And we're starting to watch the collective go through it, because enough people have gone through this process now.
And it gets difficult to escape things, too, as well, because you may start to find balance and calm in your world, and you figured out a way to do it, and you're starting to feel a little normal. And you walk up to somebody that you know, and you're like, hey, man, how you doing? You want to go get some ice cream? Man, Trump, COVID-19, 5G, Hillary, Flynn. It's just like, dude, slow down, right? Because everybody is also dealing with their thing, and you don't know where they are at. You don't know where their headspace is. You don't know about their family issues. You don't know what they've been reading on the internet, right? You don't know. No, man, I just wanted ice cream. Fox, CNN, get out of my face. It's like, dude, I didn't mean that. I just said, how you doing? It's crazy. Now you can't, you're forced into dealing with it, whether it's on the news, whether it's in your car, on the radio, it's on the internet, it's with your friends' conversations, it's with strangers. You're forced to go out in public and stare at face masks, right? It's traumatic, isn't it, Eric?
Well, it really is. It's a lack of control inside of an extremely sovereign space. We are the masters and commander of our reality. The problem is that we have been traumatized and trained into a space to where we can't even access these perceptions. And, this is the crazy thing about what's going on right now, is that just by us communicating the way that we do, by speaking words, by speaking language, what we're doing is we're training ourselves to describe the energy instead of experience and transmit the energy. And when you run into somebody like that, one of the best things that you could possibly do for yourself is to recognize that they feel very discordant and off, and there's a lot of noise that's running rampant inside of them. And the reason noise happens inside of the body, a lot of monkey mind or chatterbrain and uncomfortable situations that you feel inside that make you do odd things to act out in the outside, it's all because there's a language that we speak that we have no idea that we're actively talking. We've trained ourselves into speaking English or any spoken word, which is something that we had to learn. And yet when we were born, nobody had to tell us what being hungry felt like, or being happy felt like, or what being excited or sad or upset felt like. These were things that we came hardwired with. And this is the frequency, the language that we are supposed to be able to perceive and feel around us with no limitation whatsoever. And we do, but the problem is that our 100% spectrum awareness has been shrunk down to a tiny, tiny perspective where only our brain holds that control of awareness. And the brain, it's very good at what it does, but it's pretty much a glorified on and off switch. And when you have these electrochemical and hormonal on and off switches that then try to run body processes, it can only focus on one or two things at a time before it gets overloaded. And that's why we're awful multitaskers. Yet the body brain, the perception, reception, transceiver, receiver of your nervous system, it communicates in awareness and feeling and sensation, and it has a very distinctive language. And if you do not step into that space and take control over it, it will run the program for you. You will be thinking about things that you don't want to think about. You'll be feeling things and having triggers that you don't enjoy. You'll be running your life almost like there's a taskmaster inside of you, whipping you away and making you do whatever it is to keep you in this extended state of hyperanxiety. And when you start to communicate with your body, you find the places inside of you that are holding on to that muscle memory resonance that create that space.
Right.
And once you clean that out, you can put whatever you want in there. And positive, powerful feelings like forgiveness, joy, unconditional love. These things are hard to experience if you're just working from the brain, but by going in and creating them actively inside of the body, they create such a powerful resonance that it literally starts to heal you from the inside out. It'll dissolve disease, it'll heal injury, it'll bring vitality back to your body, and it will resonate out to the people around you. And you will have a very, very calming effect on people who are worked up and in that hyper anxious state of, CNN and Fox News and you can just go in there and be like, well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking to you. And you can put all of your feeling and all of your intention into a very obvious sensation inside of you, and it reflects out to the world around you, and it starts to help people find that space too. And this is one of the biggest things that we can really help out with on a way that it doesn't look like you're doing much on the outside. You're just kind of holding on to a really good positive feeling inside of yourself. But enough of us doing this, it's the exact same thing that we saw with that fear program that took everything over. We can do that with joy. We can do that with love. It's just that we have to have the awareness, because people are doing this right now and running these programs in the background that most people have no idea about. And
well, you're right. You're right. Let me jump in for a second. You have to project it the right way, because the way that people are wound up right now, men and women, parents, right? They could care less about your inner joy, right? Seriously. They're going to go, man, take your happiness somewhere else. I need to figure out how to feed my kids and pay my rent right now because I haven't worked in 3 months. I don't need this in my life. You need to project it in a way that is not going to offend those out there that are seriously having their minds put in other places besides joy and flowers hanging out of their pockets. And you know how I am, right? Flowers hanging out of my pockets. That's the way that, but you really can't. You don't want people to know that you are happy today. They don't want. They don't want to hear that.
You're correct with that. It's one of those things that the best thing about this type of invisible magic right here is you don't have to say a thing. You really don't.
Right.
You can just hold a frequency. You can hold a resonance. And the more people are exposed to it, the more they start to respond to it. Because these types of resonances right here, they're like light and shadow. And if you have darkness inside of a room, if you flip on that light switch, it has no choice but to dissolve that light, because shadow's nothing more than, dissolve that shadow, because shadow's nothing more than an absence of light. And what we're seeing right here, this isn't a physical darkness. This is an emotional and energetic darkness that we're seeing being directed and guided in very obvious ways around the planet right now. And the thing about darkness is that it doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter how strong it is. If you shine that energetic light inside of that space where it's hiding, where it's sheltering itself, it has no choice but to transmute. And this is one of the things that I really enjoy doing, is I will go into a very, very volatile environment with people, right on the ready to maybe even riot or fight with each other. And I'll go in there and I'll start broadcasting this and just, kind of start talking. And I'll just start, hey, how's it going? What's going on? How's everybody doing? And I'll draw the attention to myself. And the next thing you know, everything is completely and totally diffused, because their attention is now not on each other, where they're bouncing these energies back and forth and it's building. Their attention is on me, where those energies come to transmute and not go back to any place. And
you know what's weird today? I think honesty should always be there, Eric. It should be. But there was always a way in the past where you twisted honesty a little bit. Like, for instance, your life isn't good. Maybe you're late on some bills. You're struggling a little bit. And but somebody comes up and says, how's it going? And you would say, life is great. Because you're trying to project, right? You're trying to think positive and trying to be positive. But today, now you need to be a little bit more honest. When somebody comes up and says, hey, how's it going? Well, man, life may be really good for you, Eric, but you don't want to project that. Now it's the opposite, right? It's the opposite. How's it going? Well, you know what, man? It's tough out there for us, just like everybody else. That's how you open up the conversation that you're talking about. Because if you project that life is great and I have got no worries, that's going to shut down the conversation. You're not going to have an openness with whoever is trying to talk to you because they're struggling, right?
Well, it's all about that shadow work, man. It's all about that shadow work. We cannot sit here and try to be all love and light when there's obviously an open, gaping wound that's rotten and it needs healing. You know, like that type of a thing, it's callous. You just can't sit there and try to put yourself into a space to where other people wish they could experience that and then just kind of go in there and like dangle it in front of them.
Can't do it.
You got to go in there and you gotta get muddy. You gotta start stitching up the wounds. You got to start helping people limp over to a place where they can rest. You know, it's not an easy space to be right now. This is a place to where we have an extreme balance to hold on to right now, to where we can be inside of this multidimensional space, to where we can broadcast these frequencies inside of this darkness, because that's what transmutes it. And what's happening is the darkness it's like a disease that takes people over. And that's where we have to really recognize where we're at. It's not just an energetic balance. It's a personal balance, because, you know, it is rough. It is really rough that's happening right now. And, you know, we're really lucky over here in America. And even some people who are, you know, looking at going to the food bank right now, we're a lot luckier compared to a lot of the world right now. And, you know, it's really unfortunate when we have to look at it like that, but it could get a lot worse. It really, really could.
It could.
And
it could.
Us working with each other, by us helping each other out,
right.
This is how we've always done things. This is how we didn't need big government in the past, because we didn't need it. We had each other.
Well, and you know, across this country, we have a lot of big cities and we have a lot of people that live there, but we also have a lot of small towns and smaller communities that are spread out, that are isolated, that are not experiencing what so many others in the United States are. Here in Los Angeles, I am telling you, it is so big and so spread out with so many people, where we can look at our windows, we can see protest going on all over the place. Looting, it is so, it doesn't take much to lose control of so many people here. There isn't enough police, there isn't enough fire departments to put out the fire. There isn't enough, no. If it spins out of control, we know that there's not much that anybody can do. That is pressure. That is pressure, Eric, on tens of millions of people here in Los Angeles, and we're somehow dealing with it, you know. And I think down at the individual level, like you're saying, just at the individual level, we can change things and have an effect on others. And I think that's the way to move forward. Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, Eric Rains. We are discussing the emotional trauma, what we are going through right now. Yes, it was coronavirus. And if that wasn't big enough, right now we've got protests going on all across the United States. It's crazy. It's crazy out there, but we'll figure out a way to get through it. And we'll do all of that with Eric Rains. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to forbiddenknowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.tv. Again, visit forbiddenknowledge.tv today.
Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, Fade or not, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting, interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fade or Not by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Eric Rains. We are discussing what we can do right now to get through all of this, deal with our emotions, the trauma. It's nuts out there. It is truly nuts. And Eric, I want to thank you in advance, man. It's just a great conversation, and you have a very calming effect on me. I'm sitting here watching the arrest going on here in LA, and it's crazy. Now, this is the thing, and in a way, I'm trying to be funny. I'm trying to diffuse the situation, but it's also real. It's true.
I can't. The easiest way for me right now, this is how crazy the world is. The easiest way for me to flame out everybody right now, all I got to do is go post a picture of a baby deer drinking water out of a bubbling brook with flowers. Post that picture and then just watch the fighting. It's gotten that nuts. And I just don't know what to do. And so much of it has been because of the media and the fear and the pummeling. And I know that people are ready to tap out. I don't want them to tap out because the alternative is really, really bad. But we are teetering on the edge, aren't we?
Yeah, we are getting to the point to where there is going to be total focus. We are not going to be distracted. We are going to be very aware of what is happening. And that's pretty much what humanity needs right now. We need a black swan event, something that, like 9/11, that was a black swan event, but it was a negative black swan. It was something that it was, whether or not you think it was a false flag or it was controlled or whatever happened, it really doesn't matter because the energy around that event, like everybody was very united. They were polarized into a space of unification, of forward focus, and it changed the world in a way that we've never been able to recover from. That Patriot Act and everything that happened ever since then, it's been giving rise to the surveillance state. And that was the black swan that created that right there. And what we're looking at right now is humankind getting to the flashpoint to where there is not going to be just a random eruption in specific people to do whatever type of craziness it is that's running through them right there. But it's going to be an awareness of that type of an event happening, and it's going to be right up in our faces. We're not going to be able to try to sweep this stuff underneath the carpet anymore because all of it is coming out, all of it is coming up to the surface, and as a species, we have to deal with it. And that's why we're watching all of this right now, and people are losing their minds over it.
How much bigger of a black swan event do we need than coronavirus or the murder of George Floyd? How do you up that?
Well, I don't know how you would up that, but what I do know is that the very specific collective energy of that event is going to be a level of not just focus and paying attention, right, but of movement, of activation, of being over and done with being inside of that old space and not knowing what the heck you're going to do, but going and doing something different. And that's going to be that turning point right there. That's what we're looking for.
Now, there's a key word here that the governments, health organizations, and the media has been fully implementing, and that is fear. And using fear got everybody to stay in their homes and shelter in place and shut down their businesses and pull kids out of school globally, country after country after country. They used fear for that. That is something that, although it's effective if that's what you want to do, but there is an impact on society that you're going to have to eventually unwrap, right? That's got to end up revealing itself. And has the media or governments looked that far forward, as to what these effects may be? Right.
Absolutely not. Like, these guys are just trying to stay in control right now. They're trying to, their boat's rocking back and forth. It's about to capsize, and they're trying to, get those speed wobbles out so they can smooth it out. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. They don't care. They're just trying to hold on right now. And, for such a long-reaching plan that these guys have been playing out, like, if you want to look back at the Bavarian Illuminati back in the 1700s, or if you want to look all the way back into the Babylonian occults that a lot of these came from, it could be a couple hundred years or it could be a couple millennia, for such a long-term plan. It's almost like what ended up happening was the generations that didn't have to build this, that were born into it, they didn't have the tempering that came with having to work to build something and to be focused on something for so long. And so they had all the power, none of the mastery that it took to get there. And they've just been holding on to it and saying, well, I know where we're going. This is already preordained. And they're not continuing it. And it's all falling apart, and they don't have the focus, they don't have the understanding that they did when all of this was started, because it's been watered down.
And with the maturing of us since those days, and we're talking about just 1776, right? 200 years ago, 220. The maturing of us, we've gotten smarter. The communication is out there. Have they underestimated now the ability to control?
Oh, yeah. Well, the internet, phones, and that connectivity that we have nowadays, that right there, it was actually designed specifically to cloak the burgeoning psychic abilities of humanity. How many times have we thought about somebody right before they called, or went to go send somebody a text message and realized that as we were about to send it to them and type something up, they were already texting us. These are those psychic connections that we were already starting to understand. And if they did not put something obviously out there that allowed us to connect to each other over distance, it would have become so obviously growing as a collective that our psychic abilities were turning on, that we would have been going in a completely different direction by now.
And that is, I think that is something that more and more people are waking up to, where the idea of, I'm just going to use an incorrect term, but it applies, the fantastical, right? The things that were just outside of their normal existence. And just as long as they were going to work and coming home and paying the bills, that was their life. The fantastical, the other stuff, was something that they didn't really consider. Today, with what is happening, now I think more and more are stepping back. And that goes with the UFO question that was always on the fringes. Now it's in mainstream news. And it forces people to maybe go, wait a minute, there's something more here to life than I understood before. And they are now open to it, which will then perpetuate, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, and, then you have a whole bunch of people like me specifically. I broke into this world on accident. I was just pushing for something and didn't know what I was looking for. And when the activation happened, I have not been able to look at the world the same way ever since. I feel things and I understand things that, you cannot know the things that I know unless you're getting information from a way outside of where we're at right here. And the things that I've been able to show people how to do and the healing that they've been bringing to themselves, this is literally invisible magic that we're using. And it's getting a lot more widespread. People are starting to look into this a lot more. More people are doing it. More people are getting amazing results from it. And it's starting to get more aware inside of the collective. And, I'm just one person. There are so many more people like me who are discovering their own abilities to speak outside of words and to understand where they're being spoken to outside of words and be able to translate it. And the more of us who are doing this, the more everybody has no choice but to step back and say, well, there's something going on. I might not know what it is, but there is definitely something happening here because I just saw that with my own eyes.
Right.
Or if they're experiencing the work, I feel this in my body. I don't hurt anymore. I don't have these emotional triggers anymore. And stepping into that space, we are slowly but surely dissolving that barrier between the mundane and that fantastical region. And we're recognizing through the bridge of quantum mechanics that it's all the same thing. And when we start to recognize this and we realize how powerful our consciousness is on the atomic scale, that's where things are going to really start moving. I believe it was Tesla who said when we start studying the invisible as a science and not just technology, we're going to have breakthroughs like we've never experienced before. We're going to jump tens of thousands of years in technology almost overnight.
Because of the mob mentality, and what I mean by that is we watched the entire planet react to coronavirus, right? The mob mentality. It actually happened, right? I mean, it really did. People paid attention.
No, we did.
And right now, right, like I had said in my opening statement tonight, 1 week ago today, the coronavirus was the most important event in world history, right? That's what we were told. And we reacted that way. Here we are a week later where very effectively coronavirus has been moved over to the back burner. How can that power that is forcing this type of control expect people to buy the narrative 2 times in a row? Because 7 days later, now we've got this murder of George Floyd, and the mob mentality has taken over once again. So much so, Eric, that we've forgotten about coronavirus. Is it too much? Are we going to continue to react, or will they lose interest with the powers that are telling them what to think?
Well, this is exactly what I was talking about. The brain can only handle 1 or 2 things before it becomes overloaded. You cannot have, especially in an overloaded fight or flight, anxious pattern inside of the body that keeps you stuck inside of your mind with your body pumping and your organs flooding you with hormones. You can't stay inside of that and be able to focus on multiple things at one time. And so it's really easy to, that stick isn't working anymore. Well, let's give him the carrot. Oh, let's get a bigger stick, and this is going to get worse because we're still getting the same reaction. We're still getting the mob mentality, and we're still seeing the same amount of fear that's being created here. And it's going to go in cycles until it breaks. And that breaking point right there is the next moment where that next big old fear moment is coming, and everybody's, getting ready and built up for it. And then all of a sudden it hits, and we're all just kind of standing around looking at each other like, you know what? I think I'm okay.
Yeah, well,
right.
What is number 3? I get the
I don't
carrot
even know if
part.
it's 3. It might be 7 or 8.
Yeah, I know, because I get the carrot part. That'll work for a little bit. I get the stick part. You can only beat somebody over the head for so long, and then even that doesn't work. And then there must be a number 3 in the eyes of the controllers. I mean, what would be the next step?
Well, we've got global pandemic. We've got race wars right now. The next thing that I'm really feeling coming up is women's rights, feminism, division between masculine and feminine. What else is coming up? That's the big one that I'm feeling right there. Terrorism. People who are going crazy out and about, who are,
What about Independence Day? What about Independence Day? Right?
Independence Day, I've been hearing some really interesting stuff about that. Your wife actually was telling me a little bit about that. And as I was tuning into it and looking into that space right there, there is definitely, there is an opening. I'm not quite certain what this is, but it feels like there is a potential for a catalyzation. And I don't know what that is. It's a probability that it's very...
Well, why don't you help everybody? Why don't you explain to everybody what we're talking about July 4th?
So the Armenian calendar, I believe it is, I think it's some 5,000 years old or something like that. But the calendar culminates on the 5th of July in Armenia, and it lines up directly with 12 p.m. Pacific time, 4th of July here in America. And there is an opening for an energetic convergence that it's almost like if you have multiple disks that are rotating, and there's a hole in each side of one of these disks, and there's light on the other side. When these lines coincide with each other, the light comes through. And that's what it feels like is possible on the 4th of July. It feels like an opening for a energetic catalyzation of a frequency that we haven't experienced here yet on the planet. And I don't know what that means, but with everything that's happening now, I can definitely say that we're in for some interesting experiences. we definitely chose an interesting time to incarnate, that's for sure.
And what about the other Independence Day, like the movie? Right? Could that be another another opportunity here?
Oh, let's tune into that. Let's see. I'm getting a big low probability on that. So I don't see futures and anything like that. What I feel is probabilities and percentages. So for an alien invasion or disclosure to happen on the 4th of July this year, it's like a 0.01% chance.
What is astrology saying right now about the rest of 2020? Because we're now officially, halfway through the year. We're in the 6th month right now. What's the outlook for the rest of the year for 2020?
Honestly, I don't know. I've never been into astrology very much. I know that there's some people who are very, very good at it, and I haven't put the time in to learn, so I go to those people if I want to learn anything about it. But when I tune into the field of the solar system and the way that these energies are working and ebbing and flowing back and forth with each other, the rest of the solar return, I feel there's hardship, there's struggle, there's discomfort, but underneath all of that, I feel fellowship, I feel connection, I feel a rising activation inside of humanity that starts to look out for each other instead of start trying to steal from each other. And we're going to see a big polarization starting to shift right down the middle as people start to choose a side. You're going to start seeing a lot more service to others and service to self. And that catalyzation is going to open up into a space to where there is a middle in between that polarity that starts to form, a neutral space. And inside of that, there's going to be quite a bit of healing that's done. But I'm really seeing some uncomfortable times. We might really have to recognize that being comfortable is a privilege inside of our society, inside of our modern world right now. We might have to get a little bit used to, maybe being a little bit hungry, having to maybe look for what we're going to eat with a little bit more focus than we do right now. But I don't see it getting crazy. I don't see like World War III blowing open. I don't feel any major lockdowns on the planet, military takeovers, or anything like that. What I feel is definitely hardship, but inside of that space where it's uncomfortable, it's almost like a forge. And inside of the forge, you get heated up to the point to where you can either A, break down, or B, become something brand new. And that's what we're looking at right now.
Now, I didn't want to mention this, but the conversation is going in this direction. So I'm just going to say this without getting to specifics. But you brought up the Illuminati earlier, and I am going to walk a very fine tightrope right now with what I'm about to say. But something was revealed to me a couple of days ago, and I went to Rita, and I said, "You've got to go and check this out," and she did, and she was like, "Holy crap, really?" And it had to do with the Illuminati. I don't want to go any further than that at this point. But for this to reveal itself, it says to me that there is a chunk of people out there that are going to look for answers right now. And they're trying to understand how global changes can happen like this so quickly, that this isn't a series of crazy chances, that something is very deliberate right now. And there must be somebody controlling this situation. Do you think that is the case? That people might be thinking that there are puppet masters now?
Oh, without a doubt. This is so fun right in this point in time in our human history. The hardcore conspiracy theory world started to really blossom about 7 or 8 years ago, and it's gotten bigger and bigger. And what used to be easily just, poo-pooed and, oh, that's just like some conspiracy crap. I can't seriously put on your tinfoil hat. That type of a dismissal right there is at a space right now where so many conspiracy theories have been proven true, and because of that, there's a little bit of an edge of people kind of hesitant with buying the initial story to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And then with things like that are very, very obvious, like we've got Epstein who killed himself and he had the dirt on all these politicians and global players, and stuff like that starts to come out. And I've got some friends. They've got some really interesting companies that they're working in age regression and things like that, and they're actually watching these companies getting taken over and the patent getting shelved, and nothing ever happening with it. There's a lot of people who just wanted to live their lives and pay their bills and do what they wanted to, who are starting to recognize, there's something kind of smelly here. And I don't know what it is, but I don't think I actually trust this initial story. And that crack right there inside of the collective is so much bigger than it sounds. This is the foundation that they used to build their lies on top of that is starting to crumble right now. And if they don't have that foundation, the whole system's going to collapse and come out right into the open.
Yeah, I agree. And I started to say, this was about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, conspiracy is the new normal, right? And that was before all of the nutty stuff started to kick off out there. But you found people around the world suddenly going, well, of course UFOs are real. We're not alone in the universe. And it's just like a respectable thing to say. And now I feel, Eric, you bring up a great point, that now I think it's perfectly normal for people to say, well, of course there are secret organizations running this planet. What do you think I am, crazy? Right? I mean, that's where we are, aren't we?
Yeah, it's like it just subtly got generally accepted. Nobody even recognized when it shifted.
No, and it's you don't need proof anymore, right? You don't have to go, well, man, okay, this is why, blah, 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 blah. All you got to do is just turn on the news. And speaking of that, when we, because this is the thing, the one dependable thing that we thought that we had, the nightly news. Not CNN, not Fox. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 1960, 1950, 1960, 1970. The nightly news, you turned it on once a day, you got the news, and then you turned it off, and you lived your life, right? It was like a dependable situation. That's gone. That's gone. People today turn on the news, and it changes from minute to minute to minute to minute. No network has the same narrative. No network is telling the same story. No network is staying consistent even with themselves, let alone the networks that are to their left or to their right. Every story is different. And that just tells everybody that they're not getting the truth because none of it is real to them anymore.
Yeah. Well, they're not even news platforms anymore. They're publishers, and they get to choose what they publish. And whether or not it's true or fiction, it doesn't matter because they have the sole right to choose what comes out of those companies now. Like, it's all been changed legally.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I don't know when it happened. It was gradual. But we went from reporting the news, reporting the facts, and vetting your sources to today the headlines are actually opinions, right? The headlines are opinions. That's where we got into some dangerous territory. Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, Eric Rain. So much more to talk about. Crazy days that we're living in right now. Crazy days. But we're going to get through it, and Eric's going to tell us how right after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. In
Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, Fade or not, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting, interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products, available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the paranormal radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the paranormal radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Eric Rains is with us, talking about how to deal with what is going on right now. I mean, it's madness, it's craziness, and it's emotional. And we're talking about how to deal with all of this. I want to give everybody a quick update on my comments from earlier with what was going on in downtown Los Angeles. Eric, I don't know if you caught that, but as I was bringing you on, one of the protests, one of the marches, whatever, going on in downtown Los Angeles, there was a group of about 100 kids heading up a street. Police were marching behind them. And the curfew is now in effect, right? Okay, the curfew's on. Curfew started at 6, and it's like 7:30, right? And I watched them go down the street. Somebody opened up a door to an apartment building. I thought it was to a business that they broke in and they were looting. That's not the case. They were trying to get away from the police so they wouldn't get arrested, right? So anyway, I watched them all run into this apartment building. Like I said, it was like 75, maybe. Could have been 100. All run in, and I was watching the people in the apartment building look out the windows. They were just watching the demonstration. They were probably like, WTF, what? And so they all ran into the building. A bunch ran up to the roof, and we're on the roof of the building. Police just pulled up out front, and they've been pulling them out of this building one by one. Just kids, right? I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody was drinking age. They're all in handcuffs. they're all being marched up the street, and the police are laughing. And all they had to do is just go and get in their cars and go home. And it wasn't that big of a deal. Not a big deal at all. It was just so funny. You just don't. I thought running into this apartment building and hiding out on the roof with helicopters. Watching from above. It was great. It was awesome. I'm just cracking up. It was comedy at its finest. Soon to be a meme somewhere near you. Now, I was thinking I may do this at the top of the hour, but I may open up the phones if you want to maybe take some phone calls at the top of the hour.
Yeah, definitely.
And just with your questions, everybody, on how to deal with your stuff, if you have anything that you want to ask Eric, and because all of us are concerned about this, and one of the points that I think we need to drive home, and it'll be part of these phone calls, Eric, but in a general sense, what should one do? Is it, can you start with stop watching the news, which is nearly impossible, but what are the steps? What do we do as individuals?
Well, it depends on what we're looking for. Like right now, at this point in time, if we're looking for a space of relief, if we're looking for a space to where we don't have to deal with these uncomfortable emotions and thoughts that are going on with all of this, and get back to where we can really take care of ourselves and make sure that we're okay. One of the easiest things that we can do is A, definitely turn off the news, but B, start to really get your own information. Don't just listen to what people are saying. Start to research it. Start to try to find the truth of what is being said out there. And more often than not, what will happen is you'll hear something going around on Facebook or from a friend or something like that, and you'll go in and you'll research it, and either A, it was completely the wrong story, they got it wrong, or B, there was a bunch of missing information that wasn't told to begin with. And when we have understanding, when we have information, when we know what's going on, there's not something that's the great unknown out there. And only inside of the great unknown can we have fear. If we understand it, if we know why it works, if we know what it's doing, there's no fear. There's just caution. There's making sure that the fire doesn't burn you, but you're still going to use the fire to cook your food. And, that's one of the easiest things that we can do right there. Secondarily is just simply recognize that your body is so much more malleable than we think it is. And just because it's been stuck inside of one pattern for a long time doesn't mean that it has to stay there. And one of the easiest ways to get yourself out of anxiety or fight or flight is simple deep belly breathing. And the reason that this works is because when you're inside of a fight or flight thought pattern or program, it'll clench up your body. You'll flex your pelvic floor, you'll clench your abdomen and flatten your tummy out towards the spine, and you'll be left with a shallow, forceful chest breath. And when you simply and consciously relax the pelvic floor, the tummy, the solar plexus, and when you breathe in, you try to move your belly button as far as you comfortably can away from your spine. Mm-hmm. That right there, it does the opposite of that fight or flight program. And it's like you're pressing a button in the body that says rest and relax, and it doesn't really give you a choice. You have to. And so, just even 2 or 3 minutes of deep breathing in, and then as you exhale, completely and totally relaxing and let the air drain back out of the lungs back to that 0 point, and then breathing it back in again. You can do this while you're doing anything. You can do this driving. You can do this while you're, working. You can do this while you're, yard work, groceries, whatever it might be, it really doesn't matter. As long as you're not consciously having to focus on somebody and talk to them or do deep logical thinking or cognitive thinking, this is something that you can do in the background. And this simple act of de-triggering your body from the fight or flight programs that are keeping everything tense and the mind racing,
right,
you'll feel relief almost immediately. Within a minute and a half, 2 minutes, you'll notice that your mind gets a lot quieter, that the muscles of the body start to get a lot softer. And, that really primes you to open up the doorways for you to speak to your body on the levels that it understands. But, we don't have enough time to go into the rest of that there. But, those are two really basic things you can do. Research, get your information, know what's truth, and deep breathe. De-trigger yourself. When you feel things starting to get uncomfortable inside of yourself, give yourself more room to relax.
Well, and we have to do that then like 30 times a day. Right? Because there is no relaxation right now, is there? It just doesn't exist. You bring up a really but let me say this, because I need to hear your answers. Even I find myself going into the adrenaline rush of something shocking a few times a day now. Right? A good example is what happened yesterday in front of the White House. That just about put me over the edge, right? And I'm just like everybody else, Eric. You see that, and it's like, oh man, not again. And we find ourselves going through that so many times a day. But to your point, that's the media. Then you have all of the fake conspiracies that are being flooded into social media by the minute, all day long. And people are reading into this, and they're looking for answers, and some of it makes sense to them, right? And they're going through these adrenaline rushes and these shocks to the system all day long. Everybody's at home. Nobody's got anything to do. Spending too much time on the internet, spending too much time researching stuff, looking for answers, that is also freaking them out, isn't it?
Well, and that's exactly why going deep with this work is so important, because when you have triggers inside of you that spark adrenaline, that spark fear, these are literally places that are holding on to the memory or the trauma or the resonance that then sparks that whenever you come into contact with a situation that feels similar. And by going in and cleaning those places out, you can actually delete those fear triggers inside of you. And I haven't felt fear in I don't know how long, and I've been in some really dangerous situations. Just like 2.5, 3 months ago, I was driving back from Seaside. I was getting my kid from his mom's. They were visiting for the weekend, and I was driving back to our place, and suddenly there's this massive accident in front of me. This truck goes spinning off on the side, and then on the other side, this car goes flying off and through a barbed wire fence and goes skidding out into a field. And that right there, like, everything slowed down for me. And I remember I pulled over to the side of the road and I looked around, and everybody else did the same thing too, but they were all just wide-eyed and sitting there waiting for something to happen. And I could feel that fear trying to snap into place right there. And by the programming I've done inside of myself, I was easily able to bypass that fear and go into action. And I ran across that street, and I got those people out of that car. He was smashed in. There was no way to get him out. They had to bring the fire department in to cut him out. But there was a fire that was starting under the car, and I immediately went into action of, like, we've got to get these people safe.
Wow.
And once I realized he was stuck inside of the car, I then got underneath there and I put the fire out with my hands, and I burnt myself. But, there was no fear inside of that whatsoever. I didn't have that wild adrenaline spike. What I had was very focused, methodical, concise action of, this is what needs to happen. These are the steps I'm going to take in order to get that there. And within 5 minutes, the cops were on the way, the fire department was showing up, but it felt like almost an hour that we were there getting this taken care of, but there was still no fear. And inside of that space right there, I didn't freeze on the side of the road like everybody else that I had to yell and tell them what to do, because they were just standing around not knowing what to do. And I became the person who was able to step inside of that space where everybody else was feeling fear and just get it done and make sure that people were safe. And that right there is where we really need to step into, because fear is something that it's not really needed. It really truly isn't. Caution is very important. Understanding danger is very important. But fear is a response that will get you killed. It will make you stand like a deer in the headlights while you're looking at the car barreling down on you, and you will freeze and not be able to do anything. And this is that animalistic evolutionary jump that we are breaking past right now, because this fear response, this is so deeply embedded inside of our genetic history for billions of years, and we're starting to get to the point to where it's not needed anymore, hence the evolutionary jump. And when we start to recognize when we have those jolts of something that we don't enjoy, that physically, fundamentally does not feel good inside of us, and then we go in and we clear it out and we show that muscle memory resonance what we want in there, and we give it a chance to release and let go, those triggers don't happen anymore. And it's not just with fear, it's with anything. You know, say that you get really pissed off whenever you hear somebody talking about injustice or, something like that, even if it's for a good cause, that's still a trigger that creates an uncomfortable emotion that creates dense energy inside of your field. And so it's 100% possible to be inside of a space of joy, of forgiveness, of love, because you don't have those triggers inside of you that pull you into the other spaces, even when you're inside of a space that everybody else is terrified.
Yeah, you're right. Very difficult to get rid of because it has become part of our DNA. It's always been part of survival. If you go back, go back 25,000 years, and you're out on the plains of Africa, and you are in survival mode. Well, you had to have fear, or something was going to kill you and eat you. Those guys like you and I, sitting out on the plains of Africa at night, contemplating physics and the origins of the universe, and not having your fear up, you were going to die. You needed to have fear and your instincts there. And today, you don't need those instincts. It's a different world today. And you're right. It's an evolutionary process that we need to break away from.
Well, it's still a balance. It's still something that you can have the awareness that fear used to give you and still be inside of a space of joy, of love. And this is actually something that the Shaolin monks, they were absolutely masterful at this, because they not only were they some of the most amazing martial artists on the planet, their kung fu was specifically designed to prove what they were doing with their minds and their energies. And that's where the meditation and the Qigong, the true pearls of Shaolin culture, came from. And the kung fu was just to prove that they were actually doing stuff inside of their bodies that then they could make themselves superhuman. But what they did is they were inside of the balance between ultimate warfare and ultimate peace. They were the warrior priests. They were the healer monks that they would always check rather than hurt. They would hurt rather than maim, and they would maim rather than kill, because all life is precious and can never be replaced. And yet, they will never, ever back down. They will never say no, and they will not stop until what they put their focus on is done. And they'll go there inside such a blaze of amazing light, amazing glory, amazing love, and be absolutely at the pinnacle of what a warrior could be, and yet never have to use it because they're the ultimate nurturer.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking of that, with the power of the mind, today, because of the internet, because of the fact that we have computers, on our hips, with the access of all of the knowledge of humanity at your fingertips now, we're also becoming mentally very lazy. And it's easy for us now. Are we going, because of the access to information, and that is phone numbers and directions and maps, as well as just everything else that is out there, that our brains are becoming lazy as well. So how do we exercise the brain to be that monk of knowledge?
Well, it comes down to focus. The distractions that we have inside of ourselves that, every 10 seconds, every 15 seconds, there's another thought. I have to do this. Oh, this happened. Remembering this thing that happened way back when, I should have said this. All of those things that pop up right there, they keep us from that state of focus. And that state of focus is not just the ability to concentrate, it's a resonance field. And the stronger that gets, the more you can become aware of inside of it. And by simply recognizing that when you go and you sit with yourself, everything that comes up to the surface is not just something that's running through your head. There's a resonance that is stuck inside of your body that is creating those words that are floating in the background. And going into this space, activating, finding where they're at, and cleansing these free, what this does is it causes absolute silence in the mind to create ultimate focus, that inside of that ultimate focus, your ability to concentrate is the only thing that keeps you from building what you want inside of your life. And if you have the ability to concentrate without distractions, you can go into a self-healing energetic meditation and have the intention to go into it until you're done. Next thing you know, it's about 2.5 hours later and you feel like a brand new person, And these types of concentrations, that when we start to open up that field, when we start to open up that laser beam of focus and allow those distractions to burn up inside of it into nothing, that right there opens up something that you can literally forge yourself into whoever, whatever you want to be. Because I don't care who you are. If you put 1,000 hours worth of practice into something, you're going to be pretty darn good at it.
Well, and if you do that, you also quiet your mind enough that you are in a position to learn, right? To read, to acquire knowledge without having worry or fear or a cluttered mind, right? Which it's impossible to focus and learn, right? To explore new things. You can't do that if you're under a complete hypnotic distraction that is out of your control.
Yeah. Well, because then you're just learning with your brain, which is running a program. It's separated and isolated by itself. When you have this focus, what you're doing is you're embedding what you're learning deep into your muscle memory. You're activating the body brain, and this isn't information that you logically have to remember. It's information that you can feel and understand on that level.
And you brought up another point. I want to circle back to this. You brought up something very important, that when you are reading something and you, instead of believing it and digesting it and not questioning it, that you do need to exercise your brain and have the ability to go and research and get the information for yourself. Because until you get to the point where it's confirmed, right, you're not going to relax. It's not going to leave you. You can go and get that relief and have it leave you if you can confirm or deny it, right? You get confirmation and it's actually true, you can relax. If you can get the facts that it's not true, then you can relax. But you're never going to do it unless you go out and research yourself and take things to the next step.
Mm-hmm. And it's all about, what are you going to do with that information? What if it is true? Can you do anything about it? Right. Is you being frantic and upset about it going to fix the situation? If it is, then have at it, But if it's not, then we've got to figure out something that we can do, that we do have power over in this space, and then work on that direction and just keep going forward.
Yeah, I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, and one of the revelations, and I've had many, we all have, but one of the revelations that I went through in my life, I was presented with a pretty crazy conspiracy theory, and it was in a book. Doesn't matter what it was. I'm not going to go back, but I'm presented with this, and it was, for me personally, earth moving. I felt the ground shake under my feet. I went and investigated, and once I found out that it was actually true, right, I could relax. Right, yeah. I could actually relax. Now it messed with me. It messed with me a lot, but I didn't have to have the question mark above my head, wondering if it was true, right? You get the confirmation, as crazy as whatever this thing may be for you. Once you do the work, then you can move on to something else. The question is answered, and you don't have to trip on it. And trip is probably the wrong word, but you're not distracted by that all day long. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's scratching that itch.
The phone lines are starting to heat up here, so let me announce this to everybody. You can go ahead and start calling in. After we come back from the break, we will open up the phone lines, because this is why I think it is so important, Eric, to everybody, is having conversations about this. To share and to get out into not only the Fade to Black community, which is great, but to be able to talk about what is bothering them and what the solutions may be. But that's the only way to move forward, isn't it? It's communication with everybody.
Yes, sir.
Let's do that. I'm going to take a break right here. Our guest tonight is Eric Rains, 747-228-2051. 747-228-2051. Jump into this quick message, and we will be right back. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Your phone calls are next. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Teppy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Eric Rains. Great conversation. What can we do? We've got a lot of emotions to deal with, things that are going on, pressure and fear and worrying, and we get all of that. And the number is 747-228-2051. And Eric, as we get ready for these phone calls, I wanted to ask you this. There's two things I want to get out of the way. One, with coronavirus, the fear of our health, right? Death is put on the table. Our children and everything else that was spun off of that very quickly, and its employment and jobs and money and the future and the rebuilding of everything. That is there. And then this week, with the death and murder of George Floyd, now we have race and racism and the police and everything else. It's another traumatic thing that we have to deal with. It's one of the biggest concerns of this planet, and now that is something that it's a Pandora's box, right? And it's a bit too much. It's too much. Too soon, and like you said, we can deal with one or two things at once, but getting to a third or a fourth, our brains can't handle it. Well, the two greatest fears, right, our health and race on this planet, the two biggest situations are laid in front of us, right? I mean, it's is it just too much too soon?
Well, it's definitely too much too soon, but what is happening is like this fear response, this energy field is fueling these systems. And in order for these systems to keep running, the same amount of energy has to be fed in order to, run the engine, I guess you could say. And they are rapidly running out. They're not getting the same response that they have been. They've been having to put way too much frequency energy fields inside of this to get it started to build up to then get the response. And I'm expecting we're going to see these start going back to back to back until it starts breaking open.
And the
starts dissolving out.
Right. And the next thing I wanted to ask you about was diet. And with all of this sheltering in place, there is no way that people are eating sensibly right now, right? I you know what? The most vigilant vegan in the world is now eating at McDonald's. I guarantee it, man. They're not in front of their friends. They're at home. They're at, you know what I mean? Doritos and pizzas with. What can we do about our diets?
Well, one of the best things that we can do with all of this free time is really start flexing that green thumb. Some lettuce seeds in the ground. It grows really quickly. There you go. You've got some greens in your diet. There's all kinds of things that we can do right now to really put a clean organic influx into our diet. But it takes a little bit of work. But we've all got plenty of time right now, so might as well, right?
Well, I know that Rita and I try to eat pretty healthy, right? But even for us over these last 3 months, and we try to stick to our guns, but food can also make you feel pretty good, breaking the rules, right? And it goes back to when we were kids, breaking the rules, eating ice cream when your parents say no. right? Well, it made you feel good. And we know this. Our brain works that way. And I can only imagine where some people are right now going, you know what? Frozen White Castles are not that bad. They make me feel good. I'm being serious, man.
You know,
I'm not making light of this. I'm being very serious.
Oh yeah, well, you know, and it comes down to the dopamine and the hormone release. You know, if you feel good inside of you, it's a healthy state for your body to exist inside of. So, you know, what becomes more unhealthy? Keeping yourself inside of a state of anxiety by not eating it, or, you know, feeling good by eating it. You know, it's a really odd way that our bodies work, and things that might not appear to be, quote, healthy for us might actually be healthy for us, because what if that's the thing that, you know, allows you to de-trigger that stress and that tension that's been building up for the past 7 months that was going to cause a heart attack in like 2 more months.
Yeah, I know. I know. I posted this picture. You may have seen it. I posted this. I'm pushing my cart through the supermarket. I'm buying sensible stuff. I'm doing, and I'm going up the aisle. And what do I see? Lucky Charms ice cream. And I was like, what am I doing here? And my shopping cart is now a giant magnet, right? I can't pull it away. And I took it out and I looked at it and I just thought to myself, you know what? I'm buying this, right? I'm going to buy this. And I did. I posted the pictures about it. And again, trying to make light of the situation that we all find ourselves in. But I went the next night. I did. I had a bowl and with whipped cream. Eric, I'm just confessing. This is a confessional situation right now with you. And I did. It felt good. It tasted good. And I was okay with it. I didn't go back for the second bowl. Okay? It's still in the freezer. But you know what? That moment, that it worked. It did its job, man. And I don't know what I'm going to do the rest of it. It'll have freezer burn here shortly, and it'll go into the trash. But for those few precious moments, I was able to actually relax and not think about the world. I'm thinking about this delicious Lucky Charms ice cream, and it was good.
I'm really glad that you had that experience with your Lucky Charms ice cream, you know, and that right there, the ability to sit back and relax while you're eating something unhealthy, you know, which is more unhealthy, staying inside of that stress or eating a bit of sugar.
Yeah. And the moment I'm having right now, looking at the police on the roof of this apartment building with these 50 idiots lying on their face, it is just absolutely hilarious. Oh, man. Okay, reminds me when I was chased by the police when I was 15. Yeah, you know the drill. All right, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Yeah. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
This is David Christopher. Jimmy.
Hi, David. Say hi to Eric.
Hey, Eric. How you doing?
David.
What's going on tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing this evening?
All right. Hanging in there. Enjoyable show as always. I'm just vibing off of the theme of your belief system, if I could call it that, because I share those very same attributes in terms of facing your fears and things like that. Because as you stated earlier, it can cause you to do stupid things and create a situation that will endanger your life in many instances. So that's always been a philosophy of mine for years. But I don't want to talk about that necessarily, but I wanted to go over something you said earlier in terms of the ongoing racial issue. And from what I've seen, Jimmy and Eric, it's not actually it's not a race issue, because in order for it to be a full race issue, it has to be an actual black on white or white on black type of deal. And I have not seen that.
No, David. David, let me jump in. I want to hear what you have to say. What I meant by stating that earlier is that the media now and the government does want to do that. And that was my point. I'm not talking about the facts of the case. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, specifically, no. It was Eric who made the statement earlier, maybe 15 minutes ago. And it's not like a bad thing. I'm not saying it like that. I don't want it to come out like that.
Sure.
It's just that it's not the characterization, right? The characterization is not as in that sense. Because I've seen the majority of people are like just North Hollywood. I'm taking the bus back home, and these protesters are at Magnolia and Lancashire, and they're on the corner at this big building 5161 or whatever across the street from Starbucks, and every time cars are going by and they're honking their horn, beep 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 beep. And, a good number of those drivers, they're, Caucasian, so it's something that's overall a multi-race issue, and it's something that I think collectively it's a spiritual awakening that people have come to embrace on the planet. It's like for me, the awakening in myself of all these different these warnings, which is inconceivable to me, that just of how it's happened, me getting insight into the things that are going on in this world. So, I mean, it's ultimately, from what I've gathered so far, a unification thing that's going on. It's beautiful. It's beautiful because you can't have a united humanity if it's still this black and white or white versus black issue. This is a combination of everyone saying, no, this is BS, all together, and we're going to fight this together, and we're going to support the idea. Now, nobody is supporting, once again, looting and all that. That's a bunch of BS too. There's other choice words I would use, but we're on the radio. I'm on your show, so I don't want to go there. But that's a bunch of BS. And once again, like I was saying yesterday, those are kids that are doing this thing. Looting and taking like clothing and jewelry and things like that. And they're just not on that level. They're not ready to awaken themselves at all. So. Yeah. But what I see overall too is that
thing that we're seeing here is that there's lots of division.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
There's definitely lots of division, but at the same time, what we're seeing right now is people reaching out, people stepping into other people's shoes and experiencing empathy and compassion.
Right.
And you really make those connections on these levels right here. But at the same time, we still do have problems with racism, but it's not anywhere near as widespread as what the media will blow it out to be. It used to be. There's a very small percentage of people in every race who just don't like other people who aren't of their race. And these small percentages, the impact that they can have with interactions with general people, they're explosive, and they can create a lot of attention and a lot of awareness on something that it's very isolated and it's very small, but at the same time, it can really hit home because this is a big issue. This is something that we've been dealing with for generations, hundreds of years, if not thousands. And you're 100% correct. This is the unification. This is the space to where we are starting to really come together. And it's very, very divisive acts that are sparking this catalyst right now. And it's a very interesting place to just sit back and watch energetically everything that's happening. And you can kind of predict what's coming. You can feel the way that the ground is shifting and which way it's sliding and where it's going. And you can oftentimes start proactively working there before it ever even happens.
Yeah, I agree with you,
and
Eric.
It's a beautiful thing.
I agree. See, this is the other part of it. It's out there in front of us. We all know it. We see it going in that direction. We can almost predict the future. It's a bizarre position that we find ourselves in. We all know it. Indeed. In fact, David and Eric, we saw this coming years ago, right? And it just slowly, but we saw this coming. none of this should be a surprise. Having it all lumped together all at once is overwhelming for sure. But yeah, and now we know that we have to. This time around, we can't play. This time around, we got to come up with the solutions. This is the time. There isn't another chance for this. This is an opportunity that we need to seize. David, I wanted to mention this. That Starbucks that you're talking about on Magnolia and Lancashire, I know that corner probably better than any corner in all of Los Angeles, right? You have Starbucks on one corner. Caddy corner, the Stone Fire Pizza place is right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know. We all know that corner well. And anyway, I was driving to work. This is about 20 years ago. 15 years ago. I'm driving to work, going through the intersection, and I see something funky at Starbucks. And then I'm driving past it. Starbucks is on my right. I'm going east on Magnolia. And then I take another look, and a car had driven through the bus stop that is right there on the sidewalk and into Starbucks. Right through, and I pull up, and I only see the taillights of the car. This thing went through the counter, the whole into the Starbucks, and I had to stop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It just happened. The police weren't there yet, and I don't think anybody got hurt.
It's funny. They just remodeled that thing. I think about 8 months ago, something like that. So they changed the look and everything.
So you live here. You live here in the valley.
Yeah. But I do a lot of bicycling, Jimmy.
Right.
So a lot of times, like the main bus stop at the train station, in order to get a good spot for the bike rack, I'll ride down to Magnolia and Lancashire there and wait for the 224 to take me up.
Oh, that's the famous 224. Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Man,
taking me to Helltown,
man,
as I like it. So
you are from the valley, no doubt. Our offices for the unexplained were right up the street from there too on Lancashire for the TV show. So that's my that's
I'm
our
not familiar with that one.
That's our hood. That's our hood. David, thank you so much, man. And I want you to be safe out there, and we'll see you tomorrow night right here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jimmy and Eric. Thank you, sir. And please keep preaching the truth, because what you're saying is on the money. It's on the money.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
You guys
David.
have a good night.
You too, David. It's a great phone call right there. And see, Eric, that's one of the best parts about hosting this show and having the audience that we have. The audience is amazing. The Fadernauts are amazing. And all they want to do is learn. That's all they want to do. They just it's unbelievable for me to sit here each night on the show and experience this. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, guys. It's Deb from Sacramento, an amazing Fadernaut.
How you doing, Deb?
Good. Hi, Eric. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hi. I'm glad to be here. I really am.
I have a question for Eric. You were talking about different energies that we put out, or I don't know if you'd say energy or resonance, with our emotions. And clearly they've had us in fear for a long time over the coronavirus. Do you think they would rather prefer, if they had a choice, to keep us in fear or keep us angry? And does anger generate a different energy?
Good, really, really good, insightful question here. Anger creates a completely different energy than fear, and it creates a different effect inside of reality around us. Fear creates a shock-waving type of an effect that not only do we have that sensation inside of us, like that icy slap of adrenaline that runs up through the body, that actually reflects out. That sensation doesn't stop inside of your skin. It's a pulse, a frequency that then it goes outward, and what it does is it starts to catalyze and create more density and more darkness. It's almost like a seed. And this density field, this is a heaviness or a hardness, that there's no movement, there's no upward flow, there's no fluidity to it, and it's constantly trying to drag downwards. That seed right there, it can grow into anything else that's negative, because anger, it's a fruit of fear. You know, you get fearful enough, you get to the point to where you get over it and you get angry, and the anger subsumes the fear, and now you're angry because you were so scared to begin with and you're ready to go do something about it. And so anger is a very specific frequency that is used to push war, to push separation, to push disconnect, to push us versus them, as opposed to fear, which is to create the foundations that then the anger can grow from. Does that make sense?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's been illustrated when we were in fear, we were all hunkered down, and once people became angry, it immobilized everyone. Look what we're seeing on TV. You know, look what we're seeing all over the nation, all over the world. So, yeah, I mean, that totally makes sense. I did want to comment on the food that you guys were talking about.
What's that?
I think that we get used to just saying, screw it, eating whatever we want, because when we're not in our regular routine, some of us still are not. I'm still out of work right now. When I'm working every day and I'm in my routine, I watch what I eat. But when you're locked down and you don't know when you're going back to work, and you constantly have messages bombarded like, oh, you know, you're going to get sick with coronavirus and die, even though if you don't believe you're going to, it's still seeds in your brain. They think, well, screw it, I'm going to eat what I want to eat. And then you start to, and like you guys said, I think a lot of people during this time, and I'm one of them, today I had a reality check. I got on the scale, and I've gained 10 pounds during this time. And I was absolutely horrified. So I'm eating salad tonight. So there's a danger to it, too. But I understand the psychology, though, of feeling like, who cares, screw it, and just I might as well eat what I want to, because I could catch the virus and die tomorrow, or whatever, you know.
Well, Deb, you bring up a great point. Look, you go out with friends, you're with friends, lunch, even or dinner, you're going to eat sensibly. You are. You don't want to lose control in front of your friends, right?
Right.
Spend a month at home, and you're wearing your PJs. You're not even changing your clothes. And, you know, it's 6 o'clock at night, and you're going to have a bowl of Captain Crunch and wash that down with a Big Mac and an order of fries. And that's and I get that, because you don't have your friends to lay the guilt on you. They don't lay the guilt
structure either. Right. Your daily structure.
Well, yeah, and they're not laying guilt on you, but you have the opportunity of knowing that they could lay the guilt on you. Right? It's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth, and we're all finding ourselves in that. Look, Eric is one of the smartest guys that I know. I think he's really cool, but I guarantee you, he's got Oreos and Doritos stashed in the closet, and he eats them in the dark. I guarantee it.
Nope.
It's okay, Eric. Nope. It's okay.
That was a week and a half ago. I just had to get him out of the house. My stomach started to really rebel on me. I think I ate like 3 family-sized bags of Doritos over the course of like a week and a half, and my body is violently saying no right now. So we've got all the chips out of the house. We're not bringing any more in.
Can I go on the record and say that there is a moment where we can all agree. I don't know what the moment is, but there is a moment for everybody. A nacho cheese Dorito is the best thing on planet Earth. Now, it's a certain moment. It's a certain moment that you got to be in. But when that pops into your mouth, you're like, there ain't nothing better than this right now. There can't be
a better. You're
not
lying, Jimmy. You're not lying.
Hey, Deb, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your night, and go and hit the Crunch Berries and Big Mac, and you know what, your secret's safe.
Oh, no, I'm being good. You know what, my days at Twinkie Town are over. I'm done.
You know what I did okay, I can't believe you just said that. The other day, Should I say this? Rita knows what I'm
yes,
about to say.
Yes, because they're supposed to be the worst food trait that you can eat on the planet, and I've been eating them like crazy. Tell me.
So the other day, it was over the weekend. I said, "Okay, honey, what would you like for dinner tonight?" She goes, "You know what? I just want fish and chips." I said, "Okay, you know what? We're going to have fish and chips. It's fish." It's fried, so it's a combination of it should be healthy, but it's not. Let's go and do it. So I did. So I go to the local fish and chips place. I walk in, and they said, there's a sign at the counter. I swear on all that is holy. Today only, fried Twinkies.
Oh, God.
I was like,
oh, my God.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And?
Well, I got 3.
And how were they?
I'm going to say this right now. It was perfect. It was perfect. And if you've never had a fried Twinkie, most people haven't. I can't speak for other fried Twinkies out there in the world, but what I had on Saturday, oh man, or was it Sunday? Or was it Friday? I can't remember. It was insane. It was insane. Deb, enjoy the rest of your night, okay? Go have your salad. We'll see you tomorrow night with Grant Cameron. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks so much. Thank you, Eric. You guys take care.
Very well.
Happy Jimmy.
and thank you, Deb. What Rita and I try to do, first off, we shop organic. We do that. We try to cook as much as we can. We try to make the best foods. We really do because we enjoy cooking. I think that we are just like everybody else right now, and I'm being serious. That I think it's okay. It's okay to just break out. Break out of the norm. If it's going to allow you to not think about other things. You know what? It's all right. It's all right. But you got to get back to what's real here in a couple of months after all of this is behind us. Eric, great conversation tonight. Do you want to stay with me? You want to do some overtime?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
We'll push it as long as we need to.
Yeah, this is awesome. Okay, stay right there. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Eric Rains. I'm having a great time. Let's go ahead and do some overtime. I'll be right back after this short break. And I guess we can take some more phone calls too. 747-228-2051. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I'm a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Eric Range. What a great conversation. Going to go and do some overtime right now. And let me say this. Eric, go with me. All right. Right now on the television are these arrests in downtown L.A. of those that are violating the curfew. They're being arrested and put in buses and taken down to L.A. Central Jail. I'm going to just say this. How can you be an OG protester out there fighting the man and have to go to jail and admit to other inmates that you're in there for violating curfew? That is just comical to me. That is just comical, man. And now your car's going to get towed. You're going to have to, there's no bail or anything. So they're going to let you out. You're going to have to go. You're going to have to make those phone. So would you get arrested for curfew? What? Man, walk home. Take the bus. I ain't coming to pick you up. I need money to get my car out of impound. That's your problem, curfew boy. And, it's just comical. And they're not playing around, man. I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at hundreds of people with restraints on waiting to get put on the bus to get taken out because they want to violate curfew. Man, I'm enjoying myself right now. It's okay to protest. Go out there and protest, but curfew is there because everybody's in shock over the looting that went on and how that spun out of control. Well, okay. Now this is what happens. This is what happens. There is a curfew in place. And it's funny. I'm looking at these faces here. They can't believe it. This crowd right here has never been in a position that they're in right now, staring down at the law and looking at these buses that are pulling up. This is hilarious to me. It is funny. It's funny. It's comical. All right. I want to go back, Eric, if we can. Rita is posting right now. I want everybody to go. I don't know where she's doing this or I haven't asked her yet. She finds these words that aren't real. Right? They're not in the dictionary. Like right now, biogonadism. Biogonadism. What? What is that? And she gets these words, right? Here's another one. Fricastic. Fricas, fricastic. And earlier I had a slip of the tongue. I said, how did I say it? I didn't say diligent. I said digilant. And now, and I'm going to make digilant a word. Digilant is a word. I'm going to come up with a definition. I'm going to get this into Webster's. Digilant. But, and now all of a sudden, fake words are popping up. She just put up turdu.
I really like digilant. It seems like it's got purpose to it.
Yeah,
it's like digilant.
Yes.
It's like forward movement.
Yes, I dig it. We're gonna make this happen. If you want to see all of Rita's words that aren't real, excrement of unknown origin, follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can also follow Rita at GCRN Fade to Black, and pop over to hashtag F2B to the Sandbox and read some of this. It's great stuff. I don't know. She must have some kind of software. Is this like artificial intelligence making up these words that can't be found in the dictionary? It's great. Okay, I want to go back to your point earlier, and I want to expand on this. Catch and release, Eric. Catch and release. Can you expand on that?
In regards to what?
Well, Rita said, she goes, yes, catch and release, stay right there. So so let's go back and I just want you to expand on it.
Well, I'm kind of drawing a blank. I'm not quite sure what she's talking about here. So.
Well, so am I. Did I miss something? She literally said, "Can you have him expand on catch and release analogy?" Right there.
So catch and release in regards to energetic harvesting, in regards to what the police are doing right now. I'm not actually quite sure what she's talking about.
When dealing with trauma.
Dealing with trauma. Catch and release when dealing with trauma. Okay, so there's a few things that are coming to mind right now. First and foremost is trauma is a self-perpetuating system that when somebody is traumatized, they go through the rest of their life with that trauma overshadowing what they're trying to do on the surface levels. And when we have these people who get caught inside of these trauma fields and then they get tossed back out and they don't know how to de-trigger, they don't know how to clean this out, and they end up having these resonances stuck inside of the body, what ends up happening is they become almost like a breeding ground for this resonance. And other people who have very similar types of traumas echoing underneath the surface, they can come into contact with these people and they'll actually bounce these resonances back and forth to each other, building them up stronger and stronger and stronger. And these are one of the catalysts that actually starts things like this, the coronavirus scare, that fear that swept the entire planet where everybody stopped thinking logically and went into pure reaction. Like these types of movements on that level, it can create a pocket here and a pocket there and a pocket there that holds on to this resonance, and it infects as people come into contact with it. And they take little pieces of that resonance with them that then has the opportunity to, if they nurture it, it can grow into their own, lovely little piece of trauma. And if not, then, they just release it and they let it go. But they start to spread. They start to get coordinated. And so it'll look like you have very isolated situations, but they're all similarly designed to create one specific type of a sensation that it compounds with each other, and then it works towards building bigger and getting stronger. I think that might be what she was talking about right there. I'm not 100% sure. Is she saying that's what she was looking for?
I'm looking for it. See, this is what is interesting with that, Eric, is that I could see with practice, I could see not only people relating to it and understanding it and doing it with practice, but going up to somebody when something goes down, Just look at them and go, dude, catch and release. Right? Catch and release. And they'll understand it. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, poof, gone. But but once you release, what do you do with the release? Do you put it in a box, put it on a shelf?
No, pretty much they put the releases back out into society. It's almost like there is a whole entire conversation going underneath the surface that is invisible to the collective consciousness that we're all connected into and can feel and can download or can upload to, but we don't have complete awareness of. And it's like as these people have this trauma disease that is then sent out into the world to go live their life the best that they can, what ends up happening is it's like a very dense energetic field walking around through reality that other people who might not have those fields can then come into contact with, and it's an infection that starts to, somebody bright and bubbly coming into contact with a bunch of doom and gloom. Suddenly it starts to drag that personality down. It starts to create another pocket to where there's a potential and a probability for much more activation on a negative level, because that's all they're doing. They're just trying to cast out, see who's susceptible, and whoever's susceptible, that's who loses control when they get really emotional. And when you lose control, you do dumb things, and it creates all kinds of emotional fallout.
Yeah, and it's like doing that due diligence, right? Acknowledge and let it go. And the other part about this, right, with catch and release, is not what is going on TV right now, because everybody that is in restraints was saying, dude, it's going to be catch and release. They're just going to let us go.
Yeah.
And that's not what happened tonight, because they are being put on buses. But I think that is so... I'm making light of it because I need this right now. I need this kind of comedy in my life. I have the TV muted, obviously, and I don't care how much they want to pump this up into being dramatic. I find it to be hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So there you go. Is going back to due diligence, right, and discernment. The relief that I found with that, now I find myself, I just said found and find in the same sentence because it's true. I find myself investigating everything. I don't take anything at face value. I don't take a comment on Facebook and face value, Twitter. There is so much fakeness out there. You don't know what accounts are real or not. You don't know if it's just somebody trying to mess with you. It could be even some kind of foreign entity outside of this country messing with your head. You don't know these things. And I'm squinty-eyed, Eric. I'm squinty-eyed with everything. And if I see something up there, instead of reacting, I take it a step further. It's work. And in some cases, it's easy work. It's just a couple of clicks, and you can get your answers, and you can relax. But I do that now constantly, or I don't pay attention to it. Right? How easy is it to get into that mentality? With me, I was scared into it. Right? I was scared into it. But for others, how easy is it to just get into this practice?
Well, it does take awareness, and it does take the willpower to say, hey, I'm going to do this, and then remind yourself about it, 4 or 5 times a day. And the thing about creating a new habit is once you get past that 3-week mark, that 21-day mark right there, what you've done is you've already built up the new neural pathways to allow that habit that you're trying to build to become automatic instead of something that you have to trigger. And 3 weeks, that's the golden mark right there. And if you every single day diligently, you wake up and you've got your notes like, hey, this is what I'm focusing on today, this is what I'm going to be doing, you've got your alarm set for whenever the alarm goes off, you go into it, and you put your focus on building that pathway up right there. That 3-week mark, as soon as you cross that one, it gets way, way easier. But that's the thing, though. Just simply hearing something and then doing your own research around it, it takes out all the reaction because you don't have a chance to react. Where everybody else, they hear this information and they start going into that fight or flight response, you're automatically going into investigative mode, which is not fight or flight. And oftentimes when we investigate, we start finding that the truth is a little bit different than what's being put out there. And it's not really that scary because then we can start to understand, and more importantly, we can help other people see it too. And I think that's why you have this show and a bunch of people listen to you. It's because you do that type of research and you don't just take things at face value, and you have to understand from the ground up, talk about it and call it true.
Well, yeah, I do the best that I can. A lot of it is smoke and mirrors, but theatrics is half of the sale. So there you go. But there's another part to this entire conversation that we didn't get to tonight. And certainly fear is a big part of it, and the media is a big part of it, and emotions are a big part of it. But the other component here is negativity. And not only are we finding ourselves being negative, but you're dealing with negative relationships, negative friendships, negative family members, people that you work with, friends in social media, where negativity seems to be a way of life now. And that will slow you down, and it will also take your eyes off of the prize, won't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When I say energetic density, I'm not talking about just something that doesn't feel good. I'm talking about something that has physical weight to it. And, we hear adages and things about like helping somebody carry their burdens or feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders. And it's describing the energy field. And if you have so much density inside of your space that you cannot move, and I'm not just talking about like physically. Physically, it's really kind of easy to move through these dense spaces because the body's already very dense. But, say for instance that you want to get something done. You want to build something, you want to create something, you want to learn something, you want to master something. These are the feelings inside of us that get in the way from us doing that. It'll make us want to give up faster. It'll make us say that it's not worth it. Like, I don't want to even start doing it. And those dense fields right there, they keep you stagnant and stuck inside of what you're familiar with, which at that point in time doesn't feel good. And even if you're uncomfortable with that familiarity, it's still what you know compared to that unknown, where you're stretching into something that you don't know to build something that you don't understand. And it's really just about trying to figure out who you are and really getting to know yourself and what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. And when you start to really use that as the guideline for how you live your life, things just kind of fall into place. It's like I resonate with this or I don't. And it all starts to fit in. It all starts to make sense.
Well, what is the appeal with negativity? What do individuals get out of it? It's
addictive.
It is addictive.
It's the fix, it's that drama. It's that, that rush. I'm talking about somebody else and people aren't paying attention to me and all of my problems and all of my skeletons in the closet. We're going to talk about this over here and we're going to get the attention off of me. And then we're going to have that same type of rush of exposing ourselves out to the open, except we're going to use that person as a scapegoat. And there's the dopamine release because it's them, not me.
Yeah. And we all know that negative person. We all know that no matter what you say, it's a negative response. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you say. Went to the movies last night. Oh, man, why would you? It's like, wait, slow down, man. I just said I went to the movies last night. It doesn't matter what you say. I cut the grass over the weekend. Oh, man, why would you want to? It's just like, slow down. And there's a certain appeal to that where either it's seeking attention or there is something deeper rooted there that their vision of life is negativity, right?
Well, when you say deeper rooted, I don't think you realize how right on the money you are. We already understand that epigenetically we can pass down hereditary traits in health, in physicality, in mental cognition, in pretty much the whole entire body. We can pass down conditions or gifts from mother to son, from father to daughter, and vice versa. And when we look at that on that level right there, and we go a little bit deeper into the quantum mechanics of the DNA, we can recognize it's not just physical traits and characteristics that gets passed down. It's trauma that's never processed, because there's still a dense field of energy that gets passed down through the DNA itself. And say, for instance, that you've got somebody who, if you follow back their genetic history, there's nothing but nonstop wars, genocide, lack, fear. Those types of people, they don't want to be negative. Nobody wants to truly be negative. It feels awful and nobody likes it. But if you're programmed on a DNA level because of nonstop programming from your genetic history, it's almost impossible to get out of that unless you go in and address those direct fields of energy right there that's being passed down to you. That's the reason the world is the way it is. It's all genetic trauma. It's systemic, millennia after millennia, generation after generation of nonstop fear, war, aggression, terror, and lack of abundance.
And if you bring attention to it, which you don't want to, but if you dare cross that line with an individual that has those tendencies, right, all you're going to do is compound it, right? You're going to push somebody into denial and make it worse. And now we are in a true catch-22, aren't we? Mm-hmm.
And that's the unfortunate part about this work right here, is I can't force this on anybody. You have to be ready for it.
Right.
And only when you're ready for it can you actually engage in truly activating these levels right here. And so if I try to force this on somebody, it's like me trying to force myself to wake up 15, 20 years ago. Like, there was no happening with that. I was too busy being a deadbeat alcoholic, and it's all about recognizing that everybody has their time and their place. And the only thing that you can truly do for somebody who's not ready is to hold such a powerful resonant field around and inside of you that they feel right away that behavior is not okay around you. You hold yourself to a higher standard, and people feel it because they start trying to do it too, because they recognize your standards.
I have a bad habit. I learned it from my British friend. Excuse me. From my British friends. It's called the wind-up, right? And the Brits love it. The Brits know that it's sport for them. The wind-up is sport. Once they find out one little thing that'll get under your skin, you're done. You're done. They're gonna constantly go at it until your head is spinning and you're running in circles. And for them, it's funny. And my friends over right now in the United Kingdom, our audience over there is laughing. They're like, "Yep, church, that's exactly what we do. So you got to keep your guard up." Well, and the art of the wind-up, when you get around somebody that's negative, and I know that is what is going on, I'm going to go at them. Right?
Oh, God. You're just going to make it worse.
You know what? In a way, yes, in a way. But I also know that by doing that, I'm letting them know that I know that we know what is going on here. Right? Yeah. And hopefully there is some self-reflection about the situation. But it's my own way of dealing with it. Otherwise, there's a total communication breakdown, and you're not going to have anything to talk about, right? And that's my way of dealing with it. I know it's completely wrong, but in a way, it's like, you know what? I know that you know that I know that you know that, man, you're being negative. And let's not hide this fact right now. Let's just get it out there in the open. And the more that you continue this, the more I'm going to wind you up, right? So stop, right?
Yeah.
And is that wrong? I remember being around, and I was I worked for a British company. And the wind-up, right? And finally somebody, from over in London pulled me aside and goes, "Dude, man, they're just winding you up." I was like, "What?" And then he explained to me, and then I realized, and then I went, "Wow, this is actually pretty cool." Okay, but they had me, man. They had me for weeks and had me just messed up. And I'm walking out of the office. They're back there laughing, right? And I thought it was something else altogether different. And I learned. And when you get around a negative person, instead of, you know what I mean, not admitting to what is going on or ignoring it or not saying hello to that person, right? Because you know that that's the wrong way to go. So maybe take another path. And for me, it was always the wind up.
I don't know. Maybe I should try that. Negative people can't stand me. I'm always showing them the silver lining inside of their dark cloud.
Oh man, right. And I've often thought that was the way to go. And I'm with you on that, Eric. It may be the way to go, but that's like putting salt on the wound.
Yep. Sometimes people just want to be inside of it. They want somebody to commiserate with them, you know? They don't want somebody pointing out how not bad it is.
Oh, man. Somebody just, Mark from Australia just said, Australians are the kings of the wind-up. See, I'm telling you, it's sport. It's sport. If you're around 2 or 3 people from the United Kingdom and you're the lone American in the room, man, you better be aware. You better be aware because you are a victim, man. You're swimming in the pond. So there you go. Hey, listen, Eric, where can everybody get a hold of you and stay in touch?
Definitely. So my website is www.unleashingnaturalhumanity.com. My Facebook page is Eric Rains, EricRains, as well as Unleashing Natural Humanity. What else do I have? I've got a YouTube channel where I've got lots of meditations and practices and interviews and discussions. That's also Unleashing Natural Humanity. I believe I'm on Twitter as well. I don't really use it that much. I don't use Instagram or Twitter very much, but I'm on those as well. But for the most part, you can find me either directly on the website or on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, thank you so much. What a great conversation tonight. And I'm watching all of the feedback here in Twitter, and everybody resonates. And that's the thing with you. It's so important to be able to speak and to present this kind of information. Some of it can be, pretty deep and pretty technical, but the ability to resonate and have people go, you know what, I get it, I hear it, I get it. That's what's most important, and that's what this conversation did tonight, Eric. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. I've really been working at this a lot, and I've come a long way from the incoherent energy that I couldn't explain and just tell people things were going on, and I couldn't explain it, and I've worked so hard to consciously be able to translate these spaces, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Eric Rains, and unleashingnaturalhumanity.com is the website, and if you can't remember that or type it out, well, just click on the links over at jimmychurchradio.com. We also have it right up there in Twitter. Eric, be safe out there and keep rolling that rock uphill, man. You're the best.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you.
Another great conversation, Eric Rains. And again, Eric's links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. All of his social media, Facebook, everything is right there. So go click, follow, like, and go and hang out with Eric. He's an absolute pillar of knowledge. With that, I am going to get out of here. We just went pole to pole, top to bottom with Eric Rains. Great conversation tonight. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA, The Planet. I want everybody to stay vigilant. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2020 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Grant Cameron. Until then, I want everybody to be safe, stay vigilant, go Beckley Tepe.